You have to remember that Charlie landed into Salt Lake City at 9:23 a.m. local time. I suspect that if he had instead landed into Provo, he would have recognized the blue Egyptian plane.
Candace Owens, who is known to be a MAGA critical leader in the movement, is accusing TPUSA employees of covering up lies behind Charlie Kirk death, an event that unfolded after his death. Kirk killer suspect is now in detention. However, some people believe law enforcement has detained the wrong person, and something is not adding up to who really killed Charlie Kirk. The Egyptian jet flight to Utah is now in question, and people allegedly connected to a foreign intelligence network are thought to be behind, as Candace Owens claimed. Yesterday, 19th November, the Congress has voted yes to Epstein file release, including all names of billionaires allegedly behind the cover-up of women victims they evaluated when they were teenagers in a charge human trafficking by Jeffery Epstein. Though the vote was bipartisan, there is still a long way to have the process done for the file to be released. President Trump is the final decision maker to sign the discharge on his desk so that the DOJ can be able to release the file. Cristiano Ronaldo and Saudi Arabia Prince MBS are now in the United States for the official visit. On the agenda, they met President Trump at her dinner yesterday. Trump has defended the Prince of Saudi Arabia that sometimes things happen when he was asked about the question of Khashoggi, who was killed in the Turkey-Saudi embassy. Saudi Arabia is expected to invest in the USA more than $600 billion in a mega project that will create jobs and opportunities to Americans, says President Trump. Marjorie Taylor Greene has taken stance against Donald Trump yesterday on Epstein file. She has reacted to Trump calling her a traitor and said a traitor is someone who served foreign interests and his own, not her, who is behind sex trafficker victims, supporting them. In Canada, the economy is staying since 12 years, and economists wonder why Trump tariff has made even things worse. This is following the tremendous decrease of Canadian travelers to United States goods and services. In Europe, there is a growing network of shadow ships sailing without a valid national flag, which can render vessels stateless and without proper insurance. Many observers suggest this is Russia's tactics to dodge European sanctions over Ukraine war. Welcome back to the Chess News Bulletin. Here is the details. Since Charlie Kirk assassination, one of prominent MAGA figure Candace Owens has been on the forefront, accusing different actors behind Charlie Kirk assassination. Right now, he's accusing TPUSA of covering up lies behind Charlie Kirk assassination, an event that unfolded after his death. Charlie Kirk suspect is now Robinson. He's now in detention. However, Candace Owens and many other MAGA movement actors claim that the law enforcement might have been detaining a wrong person and something is not adding up to who really killed Charlie Kirk. Now, Candace Owens suggests there was an Egyptian military jet flight to Utah before Charlie Kirk assassination, and cars bought and released by this same company. People allegedly connected to a foreign intelligence network are thought to be behind it. President Trump has said Charlie Kirk was a friend of his and that Charlie Kirk was a Christian and a good person. However, some people says intelligence agencies and law enforcement agencies sometimes are covering up since there is not enough information about the investigation going on and what happened really on the day he was killed. Yesterday, 19 November, the Congress has voted to one critical file of Epstein, which has been shaking all the MAGA movement. President Trump, in his campaign, has said he will release the Epstein files when he gets to power. However, since he got to power with his administration, Kash Patel, the FBI director, Pam Bondi, the DOJ director, all said they will be able to release the file. However, they changed dramatically their stance against and saying there is nothing to be released since there is no any list of clients to Epstein. However, the MAGA movement and MAGA critical actors have said no. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, and many more have said no, the file should be released. Though the vote was a bipartisan one, there is still a long way to have the process done for the file to be released, and President Trump still has to sign this before the file are released. Some critical Congress members have said that Trump has to sign it, but also promote that the file comes out without any change on it in any form and circumstances. You are listening to the Chess News Bulletins. Cristiano Ronaldo and Saudi Arabia Prince MBS are now in the United States for the official state visit. On the agenda, they are meeting Trump and other United States administration members for a dinner. Trump has defended, however, the prince for some questions he was asked by the media of if he takes responsibility to the killing of journalist Khashoggi at the Turkey Saudi Arabia embassy. Saudi Arabia is expected to invest in the US more than $600 billion in a mega project that will create jobs and opportunity to Americans. President Trump criticized the journalist who asked the question from CBS, saying he should be fired and CBS CBS permission to broadcast should be withdrawn. MTG Marjorie Taylor Greene has taken stance against Donald Trump yesterday on Epstein file. She reacted on the issue of being called a traitor in the MAGA movement by President Trump. However, she responded by saying she is not really a traitor, and a traitor is someone who serves foreign interests in his own, not me who is behind sex trafficking victims behind me. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been one of the vocal supporter of President Trump for the past years. However, since the Epstein file, she has dramatically changed his opinions and has been at the forefront of criticizing some of the Trump administration programs and agendas. For example, the critical point is the AB1 visa, which Trump supports, but Marjorie Taylor Greene says no, the American workers and employees should be given priority, while Trump says there is no enough workforce for some industries in America. Marjorie Taylor Greene also criticized Trump on the Epstein file, which was kind of one of the critical points for this. Standing in front of the Congress, but also in front of the victims, he said this is a major steps to release the file, though it was very hard to fight the most powerful people, including the President of the United States. The Canadian economy is stagnant for the past 12 years, and economists wonder why. Trump tariff has made even things worse. This is following a tremendous decrease of Canadian traveler to USA goods and services between the two partner countries. Canadians have been criticizing President Trump administration, saying the tariff he imposed on them is immoral. But Trump has insisted that the tariff is also a way to bridge the gap and being ripped by the Canadian on economic level. Let's end our news bulletins by Europe. In Europe, the war in Ukraine is changing the landscape. France is supporting Ukraine with 100 Rafale fighters jet that will balance the power and the force on the field. However, there is also another thing. In Europe, there is a growing network of shadow ships in European water, sailing without a valid flag, which can render vessels stateless and without proper insurance. Many observers suggest that is Russian tactics to dodge European sanctions over Ukraine. Those ships are carrying oil and any other raw materials, targeting the international market. Thank you so much for being with us. This is the news bulletins. If you have any tip, write to us or put your thoughts and your idea in comments. Bye bye. See you tomorrow.